Hello, this week we are learning Parsha Korach. Korach was Moses' first cousin, and he stages a rebellion against Moses and Aaron. Together with a few ringleaders, he gathers 250 men who were well-known, well-respected people, and with having a support crowd around him, he accuses Moses and Aaron of power building for themselves. Basically, nepotism. He says the entire congregation is holy and the Lord is in their midst. So why do you raise yourself above the Lord's assembly? They took basically a specific issue with the appointment of Aaron as a high priest, as a Kohen Gadol. Moses proposes that on the following day, after long discussion and deliberations, he says, all right, it's not my doing, it's not my decision, it's Hashem's decision, God's decision, and let's get together the next day, morning, and we will all participate in a test, which will determine who indeed was worthy the mantle of the high priest. Hashem will decide. The spiritual world will decide. Everybody realizes it's a very dangerous test because it's a life and death matter. But people are prepared to take the risk. That's how much they desired to succeed in that rebellion. God is very angered by the Jews' association with Korach and wishes to destroy them altogether. However, Moses, Moshe, and Aaron pray for the Jews on their behalf to God, and God decides to spare most of the people. But the next morning, this is a short version of it, the next morning the earth opens up and swallows Korach and his family. And a heavenly fire consumes the rest of the 250 rebels. And the next day, unfortunately, the community still complains that Moshe and Aaron are to be blamed for the death of those good people, God's people. God instructs Moshe and Aaron to separate themselves from the community, and he says, I will destroy them in an instant. And indeed, a plague struck the nation, and many thousands were dying. Moshe tells Aaron very quickly to take a fire pan with incense and go into the midst of the congregation and atone for their sin. Aaron does so. He stands between the living and the dead, as a matter of fact, and the plague is stopped. God tells Moses to take a staff from each of the 12 tribes, which each staff will have the name of the tribe's prince written upon it. And included Aaron's staff too, because he represented the tribe of Levi. So all staffs were placed overnight in the Holy of Holies chamber of the tabernacle. So next morning, the staffs were removed, and miraculously Aaron's staff had budded with almond blossoms and almonds already there. And this was a further miraculous proof that Aaron was God's choice to be the high priest. Then Torah lists various gifts to which the priests were entitled. Aaron is informed that his descendants will not receive a portion of the land of Israel, and instead God is their inheritance and portion. That's what Torah says that's what God has said, actually. The Levites too will not receive a share of the land of Israel, and instead they are entitled to a tenth of the Israelites' crops for the tabernacle and later on temple services, which they will provide, the Israelites will provide that. And upon receiving this tithe, the Levites must in turn separate 1/10 of their tithe, of their donation, and give it to the Kohanim. And that's the basic content of the Parsha. If we seriously listen to what Korach was saying, and Korach and his supporters, he said the following: you have gone too far. The whole community are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourself above God's congregation? If you think about this, Korach's statement, it is a statement of equality of people, egalitarian statement, which is what we love and respect today actually here in Australia, our egalitarian society. In other words, we all have a direct access to God. So why are you, Aaron, should be above us? That's what Korach was saying to Aaron and Moshe. Korach is saying we are all equal. There is no need for your superiority as such. On the surface, it really looks like there is nothing wrong with this statement. He calls for equality. He says there is no need for privileges. We are all holy. And that was true because the point is that actually at the time at the foot of Mount Sinai when Jews were receiving the Torah, they were all spiritually on level of Kohen Gadol. Yet they fell down with the golden calf, and then there was the whole issue and all the other problems. But overall, they were highly spiritual people. So why God has punished Korach and the 250 good God-fearing people so badly? There are many answers to this question, but let's try at least one of them. Let's look at it this way. Kabbalists say that any idea, verbal statement, and physical action, this is 3 stages, right? They all consist from 2 basic parts. The actuality, the actual idea, statement, or action, and the intention, the second part, why it's done. In other words, what we are doing and what is the internal reason for saying or doing or thinking that way are sometimes different things. Korach was restating the concept of equality in Judaism. Correct. Since we all are God's creation and all Jews were requested by God to be the nation of the priests and the holy nation. However, his intentions were a simple objection to Aaron becoming the Kohen Gadol and a desire to get the Kohen Gadol title or position for himself. His 250 supporters had all sorts of other disagreements with Moshe and Aaron, and there were all sorts of issues, and that's why they decided to support him. The truth is that none of us, Jews or non-Jews, are equal. We are all different. Everything God created has its unique time, shape or form, physical space, and level or position. Night is night and day is day, time-wise. Everything in the universe has its space, the space it occupies, and the time when it exists. And everything exists on each unique specific level. In Hebrew, it's called Alam, Shana, and Nefesh. The space, Shana, time, and Nefesh, the spiritual part, the soul. In all of these three domains, we all serve God with our own unique talents and at our own unique levels. Let's look together at the space. There is Jerusalem, which is spiritually higher than the rest of Israel. And Israel is higher than the rest of the world spiritually. And within Jerusalem, there was and there will be again a temple with the courtyard, which is higher than the Jerusalem itself. Within the courtyard, there is the holy and the holy of holies. So, and each one is higher and higher. The holy of holies is the highest of the highest spaces. God created everything with clear borders or limits, physically. Now, time. Then we have weekdays, then we have Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, or festivals, and above all festivals, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. So we have clear time levels for everything. Even within Shabbat, there is the more important time just before the end of it, just before we say Havdalah, the light of the light, it's called, basically. So there is the time difference, time limitations. The same is with Nefesh, with our functional levels. Our talents, our abilities, our professions. For instance, there were 12 tribes, and each tribe has its own purpose. They were traders, scientists, Torah scholars, priests, etc., teachers. Again, we see clear limits, definitions, and a purpose for everything. I use this example very frequently, and I will not hesitate to use it again. Look at the human body. Every organ has its place, its definition, and its purpose. It's exactly the same principle. Our brain is our thoughts and nerve center for all body. Our eyes and our ears and senses, touch and smell, taste, are all our five centers or perceptions. We accept external information through them. Our liver cleans our blood, and the breathing system provides oxygen in the body. You get the idea. They all take from the system what they need within limits and contribute to the system by providing their services, functions within limits. This is the body in balance, and the universe works exactly the same way. Korach was saying, let's abolish the hierarchy. All limitations, everybody is equal, that's it. Nobody is above anybody. That is a call for destruction of fundamental aspects of the world based on limitations in space, time, and capabilities or talents. God's creation, since nothing can exist without the clear definition of the above stated limits. A human body will not be able to function if all organs will decide to be equal. And let's say the head and the heart will swap places, and God forbid. Or the hands and the legs will do, what the other one used to do. You will say, okay, I understand now why God punished Korach and company so badly, because they wanted to destroy the foundations of creation. Fine. The incredible aspect of the whole story is the point that, as per Midrash statements, ultimately, when Mashiach will come, the whole earth will be under sovereignty of one God, and we all will be equal. So whatever that means, I don't know. So Korach's statement was simply approximately 3,000 plus years premature. As we know, today the issue of equality and rights and responsibilities, these issues are as critical as they were 3,000 plus years ago. We have millions of youngsters, sometimes on drugs, without any clear understanding of these issues. And consequently, they rebel. They riot, they destroy, and they kill at a drop of the hat for any reason. Their targets could be anybody. It could be Chinese, Muslim, or Jews. It could be white, black, or yellow, skin color people. All they need is an idea to take up as a cause for disobedience. Yeah, now there is a lot of anti-Semitism proliferating because this is not a cause which they were given by the smart people on the left. So they riot and they conduct anti-Semitic acts. And there are plenty of sources, sources to brainwash those kids. Thousands, millions of different bodies and organizations, including terrorists, which brainwashing them with pleasure. The reason why they are dissatisfied with their life and so far cannot see any future for themselves is because they don't know. They don't know where to go, what to do, how to develop themselves. And I did talk about it previously. The solution, look, the truth is really that you cannot force hatred, you cannot destroy hatred, including anti-Semitism. You cannot forcefully destroy it. Impossible. We all understand this. So the solution is to teach the children of all communities via interfaith schools or just projects or webinars or any other mass media channels, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, that everyone has his or her purpose in life. That there are ways to get education, profession, and eventually ways to enjoy life regardless of your level of so-called privileges, perceived or real. Yes, a kid born today in the world in a rich family has got some advantages because mommy and daddy probably going to pay for his or her education. But he or she needs to study really to achieve something, to get somewhere. I will never forget it. I was a refugee, and when my daughter was deciding to become a lawyer, she came over and said to me, why I'm going to do law, I don't know, because all the kids in the group in the uni, this one has got a father barrister and an aunt a judge and this and that. I have got nobody who will sponsor me, who will push me up. Well, I said to her, you work hard, you study, and then we will see. And it worked out exactly that way. She managed to achieve the heights of the legal profession. Yes, it requires everything, requires an effort, perseverance, desire to succeed, but this is the only way to build a world overall and for each individual. This is the way God has created the world, with its space, time, and clearly defined limits. Limits for everyone, and everyone is required, and everyone is valued. Let's build it together instead of hating each other, rioting, looting, and destroying foundations of our society. Let's start learning together. Shabbat Shalom.
למען החי ורעי, למען החי ורעי, שלום.